We all know there are lots of energy initiatives going on right now across the country, whether they be Recovery Act grants or other areas of focus coming out of many different federal agencies. The Department of Labor, the Department of Energy, even the Department of Health and Human Services has gotten involved in this. I mean, this is something that obviously has been hot for a while, and we are going to see more grants coming out. And you all, of course, are keenly aware, because I'm sure you, as soon as you see something in your email about the new innovation grant coming out or whatever it might be, you are already collaborating and figuring out how are we positioned to take advantage of this. So what I'd like to do is, well, first of all, I'm going to just set the context a little bit by giving you just a little bit of information about one set of national energy initiatives. And these are all of the Recovery Act high growth and emerging industry grantees. And there are about 250 of these grantees across the country. There are two big things that have come out of not only our national work broadly, but when we look at these Green Jobs grantees. And one is the role of the convener is so critical. If there isn't somebody coordinating that collaboration and thinking ahead about what else needs to happen as part of that collaboration, these things don't move very quickly, and they certainly don't reach the outcomes that you want. So the other thing that we're going to talk about, which is very clear as we look across the country, particularly at these Recovery Act Green Jobs grantees, is that the importance of making sure that the credentials our educational institutions are putting out are relevant to the labor market. If it wasn't critical 10 and 20 years ago, it is more critical than ever now. What we know is that particularly adult learners, they do not have more than one opportunity, really, to get the right credential at the right time to get a job. And so what is very crystal clear when we look across the country is we have to figure out, therefore, what's the process for making sure that we know what industry needs, and how do we keep that fresh? And so for educational institutions and training programs, this is the #1 job.
What is it that conveners do? I like to say they really act as the glue. And I think all of the conversation yesterday about collaboration was right on, but it does not happen, as Lindsay said, in and of itself. I mean, meetings like this are great for bringing a wide network of people together, but on an ongoing basis, when you really try to get into some of the nitty-gritty aspects of what are the needs and how do we find solutions to those needs, you need somebody that's going to hold that together. They coordinate the planning, the information, the resources. Again, somebody has to do that work. They may not do it all literally, but they are responsible for overseeing that in the partnership. Are people meeting curriculum deadlines? Are people meeting XYZ? Whatever is in your plan, the convener has to really manage that as a project manager. They have to keep their pulse on the changes in the industry, and that's really an important role for the convener. Oftentimes the convener doesn't come out of the industry. In some cases they do. They hire people retired from an industry, but in many cases they don't have that specific background, but they need to learn that over time and keep their pulse on where the industry's headed. They really need to be a skill facilitator. This is very high level facilitation skills that are needed. As you run into bumps in your partnership, which you are going to run into, they need to be able to work those through with their partnership. And obviously, if you are the convener, you really need to look at having other non-industry people in your partnership as equal partners. Your labor organizations, your workforce partners, your CBOs, et cetera. So you need to really make sure that they are seen as equal partners.
How could we give credit for when people have really, learned things that are really translatable into academic credentials? The only way we're going to really make substantive progress is to really move towards this concept of a competency-based framework. We need to have more credentials at all levels. They even recognized associate degrees, and they even recognized certifications, certificates, licenses. If you look at all the foundations now, they look at those things as a whole. But the issue is credentials, increasing attainment to what end? Well, it's to getting a credential that has a labor market value, that provides a sustainable job? How do you as an employer know what credential is really valid? How do you as a student? How do you as an institution know? The problem I feel here, and the reason why we went to competency-based framework, is we can't get to scale. We can't get to the level of credentials this country is going to need to be competitive at the current rate. Post-secondary education is not going to be able to keep up with the demand for new jobs. Right now, over 50% of employers find major difficulties in hiring people who have the skills. We still need to have, there's almost 3 levels. There's core academic skills contexted. There are the tasks you need to make people better prepared for the workplace, almost employability skills, and then you need actual job task analysis. Again, this stuff in Allen, we've got all sorts of, we think, good methodologies. So the challenges from all I said are obvious. Proliferation of credentials. There's 1 million registered apprentices that should automatically be given full credit by all of our colleges and universities. And we did that in Kentucky, and there's other states. It's not done enough. And now I find I'm going to work with a group in Washington because the Department of Labor just had her back from all the union leadership, and they said, we thought we were going to deal with one entity and get it accepted across the U.S. Now, that's not how it works. You have to go institution by institution, in some cases state by state. And we simply don't have enough that we've done on doing the good work that you've done in Washington on terms of really constantly defining, what are competencies and how are they utilized. And then part of it is, why not take on this credit hour, which was originally designed to measure faculty workload. Now it's become a proxy for competencies. It's input. It's time-based as opposed to when you've learned it and can demonstrate it, which is part, again, of our system. And much less career navigation and value of credentials, this stuff I've all talked. This is what we think we should be doing, and we should be amending the Lumina thing to look at credentials below an associate degree. But focus on outcomes, on knowledge. And when we do this whole issue of whether you've gotten non-credit or you credit, no matter where you've learned it, on the job or whatever, then in fact, that can be included and applied towards a credential of value in the labor market.